The wind swept across the shattered plain as the human warrior, named Kalen, pushed through a field of metallic debris. The last battle on the frontier had ended only hours earlier, yet the silence already felt ancient. Smoke lifted from the burning, wrecks of enemy craft, while the sky was choked with drifting ash. Kalen had been ordered to return to the dropship, but he searched for survivors instead. He could not ignore the faint distress beacon he had picked up on his suit's receiver. It pulsed with a tone he had never heard before, soft and crystalline. Almost musical dot, the beacon led him into a deep fracture in the ground. The earth had split open during the bombardment, forming a ravine filled with twisted metal and glowing shards. He followed the signal with slow steps, scanning for movement. His visor lights revealed a small escape pod wedged between collapsed stone slabs. Its surface shimmered with an unfamiliar alloy that caught the light like fractured glass. Kalen pried the hatch open with effort. Inside lay a being unlike any he had seen. She was slender and tall, her skin pale with a faint violet sheen. Translucent patterns glowed beneath her surface like constellations under ice. Her breathing was shallow, rapid, uneven. A crystalline mask was cracked around her face, and her limbs trembled with every twitch of life she still held. Kalen had seen many alien species during the Long War, but something about her form told him she must have been important among her people. Her clothing was ceremonial, embedded with symbols of rank. Her posture, even in weakness, carried a quiet dignity. She opened her eyes when he touched her wrist. They were bright silver, unfocused, terrified. She whispered a single word, barely audible over the static of the ruined pod. Kalen's translator interpreted it slowly before the device flickered. Help. He lifted her carefully from the wreck. Her body was cold, and her pulse faded each time he tried to steady it. She clung to consciousness with visible struggle. Kalen knew he needed to move fast. His suit's scanner indicated drastic blood loss, internal collapse, metabolic failure. Her physiology was alien, yet the scanner noted one alarming detail. Her body was attempting to bind oxygen, but could not. Something in her blood was corrupted by a radiation burst from the crash. He carried her up the ravine, step by step, heart hammering. When he reached level ground, his helmet received another analysis update from the suit. Her blood did not regenerate naturally. It required a catalyst to trigger restoration. Without it, she would not survive minutes. Kalen took a deep breath. His people had a tradition that life, no matter whose, must be protected when possible. It did not matter that she belonged to a species his world barely understood. He laid her down gently and adjusted the medical systems built into his suit. The readings confirmed a grim detail. Her body responded faintly to human oxygenated blood. It was not a perfect match, but it was the only substance on the field with the necessary properties to serve as the catalyst her biology required. Kalen activated the transfusion module on his wrist. The system flashed warnings. This was not an approved procedure. It was untested. It could harm him. It could harm her. But time was slipping away from her with every breath. She opened her eyes once more, struggling to focus on him. Her lips moved without voice. Kalen understood the silent plea. He pressed the confirmation on his suit. A thin line of red flowed from his arm through the module, where it was filtered, processed, and modified. It entered her bloodstream through a field injector that wrapped gently around her forearm. Kalen felt a wave of dizziness as the transfer began, but he gritted his teeth and stayed steady. The alien princess gasped. Her back arched slightly. The star-like patterns beneath her skin glowed brighter. Her silver eyes widened with shock. For a moment, Kalen feared her system was rejecting the blood, but then her breathing smoothed and her trembling lessened. The air around her shimmered faintly, as if responding to her shifting internal state. The patterns across her skin changed, taking on new forms that pulsed with soft light. Kaelin watched with fascination, mixed with concern. He had no idea what was happening inside her, yet he could sense her life returning. When the transfusion ended, Kaelin sealed the module. He swayed on his feet, but remained upright. The princess lay still, but her chest rose in a stable rhythm. Her skin warmed. Her pulse strengthened. Minutes passed as she slowly woke. Her eyes were clearer now, focused on him with both gratitude and fear. She attempted to speak, but her voice broke. Kaelin knelt beside her, helping her sit upright. His translator crackled, then captured her voice. "Why would you do this for me?" Kaelin answered softly. "Because you needed help. Because no one deserves to die alone on a battlefield." She studied his face as if trying to judge the truth in his words. Her gaze lingered on the wound on his arm, where the transfusion line had been. Concern marked her features. "You lost much. You should not have risked that." Kaelin gave a short breath that served as a faint smile. "I have more to spare. You did not." The princess bowed her head. "My name is Leora. I am heir to the Solari crest. My people will search for me." Kaelin nodded. "We need to get you to my team first. They can send out a signal strong enough for your people to track." He offered his hand carefully. She hesitated, then placed her palm against his. Her skin was smooth and cool, but it warmed as she stood. Kaelin guided her through the ruins, moving slowly to keep her steady. Her body was still fragile, but each step seemed easier than the last. The transfusion had done more than stabilize her. It had awakened something in her physiology that responded strongly to human blood dot as they walked. Leora looked toward the shattered horizon. "Your species. You fight with strength that does not rely on energy fields or ancestral memory. You rely on your own resolve. It is strange to me." Kaelin shrugged. "We do what we can with what we have." She glanced at him again, more thoughtfully. "Your blood burns like a star. I felt it when my body tried to understand it. It forced my cells to awaken. It commanded them to rise again. No substance I know acts like that." Kaelin did not know how to answer. Human blood was ordinary among his people. It held no mystical quality, yet to her it had become something powerful. Perhaps her biology interacted with it in some unique way. He could not guess. They traveled across the plain until dusk painted the sky with violet haze. Kaelin hoped the dropship remained intact. As they reached the ridge overlooking the landing zone, a thin column of smoke drifted upward from the wreckage. The enemy strike had hit it earlier. The hull was cracked open, scattered metal lying across the sand. Kaelin clenched his jaw. "The ship is gone." Leora touched his arm gently. "You saved me once already. That is more than fate asks." Kaelin scanned the terrain for alternatives. They needed shelter. They needed supplies. Most importantly, they needed a way to transmit a rescue signal. The nearest ridge held an abandoned relay tower, half destroyed and leaning. That would be their best chance. They approached the tower as night fell. Cold swept over the landscape, sharper than desert frost. Leora shivered, weakened, again by exertion. Kaelin wrapped his thermal cloak around her shoulders. It hung awkwardly around her taller frame, but she clutched it gratefully. Inside the relay station, flickering lights showed the systems were not entirely dead. Kaelin powered the console and began testing the communications grid. The tower's antenna was damaged, but he believed he could repair a partial link. Leora sat beside him, watching curiously. Her presence radiated soft silver glow from the patterns on her skin. After several minutes of failed connections, the console emitted a coded tone. Leora straightened. "That is my people's frequency." Kaelin leaned closer to the screen. "They are already searching." She nodded with relief. They will find this signal soon. You should rest. Your body is strained. He shook his head. Not yet. I need to make sure the signal holds. Leora studied his face with quiet intensity. Your spirit is different from what I imagined humans to be. Our archives described your kind as fierce and unpredictable. Yet you are steady, protective, unwavering. Kaelin gave a short reply. We fight hard when needed, but we protect harder. Leora lowered her gaze. I owe you more than I can repay. You owe me nothing. She lifted her head again. That is not true. Your blood became part of me. My cells adapted to its force. It reshaped my inner current. It changed how my body breathes and how it heals. I can feel strength that was not mine before. Kaelin blinked with surprise. Are you saying my blood altered you? Her silver eyes glimmered with strange awareness. It bonded with the core of my being. If other Solari learned this, they would see your species in a new light. Perhaps they would fear you, or admire you. Kaelin did not know what to make of that. Humanity had spent generations proving its place in the galactic sphere. The idea that their biology could alter other species was unexpected and troubling. Before he could respond, the tower shook with a distant rumble. Engines roared overhead. A fleet of sleek vessels descended from the clouds, each marked with radiant patterns that matched the glow under Leora's skin. She stood tall, despite her weakened state. My people are here. A landing craft dropped nearby, and several armored. Solari stepped out. Their armor shimmered like liquid crystal. When they spotted Leora, they bowed with reverence. One approached and spoke with urgency. Princess, we feared the worst. Your craft was struck by an enemy charge. We tracked your Biko.